Lisa here. So glad to be back with Owning Her Health. And what we're going to be doing is bringing you a couple of episodes, just kind of in a little collective around here from the new moon here in February. It was a crazy 2020. I didn't do any Owning Her Health in 2020. I really pulled back at the end of 2019. I'm going to catch you all up on my own show. But what I have for you today to relaunch is one of the first shows with Dr. Brooke Silberhorn. And let me ask you, what would you do if you were diagnosed with thyroid cancer right now? Dr. Brooke had to face that, had a real moment of consciousness of belief in what it is she does as her natural chiropractic work, and how much she really believed in that. And she listened to her gut, and she ended up going a non-traditional route, which we'll talk about, that took her down a different path with her career, and even ended her into the work of how important tuning in the thyroid is for her fertility patients and the infertility story. So I'm really, really excited to bring Dr. Brooke here for you today. Brooke Silberhorn is a family wellness chiropractor and owner of Thrive Chiropractic in Ocala, Florida. So if any of you guys are down there, make sure you check her out. And like I said, after facing her thyroid cancer diagnosis in 2014 and walking through her whole healing journey, which we talk about in the second half of our talk, she's really doing great work. So I really am so thankful you're here again with me. For those of you who are new to Owning Her Health, we have a bunch of wonderful conversations here. Make sure you go back to I think it was 52 other episodes that are there. You get a feel for me, but I'm going to be expanding into some new tools. I've gone through some growing and healing in myself, as I'm sure you have. Last time we spoke, we were pre-pandemic, and so we are definitely in a brand new world here. I want to thank you so much for being here. Give me some feedback. Go on over, do me a favor if you can. It really helps me out. Go over to the iTunes, give me a 5-star rating, and if you like the show, give some feedback, help me out, because it really helps me with the algorithms and for other people like you to discover me too. So that's the best way you can help me out, because that's really the world we're in right now, right? If we see something that's going to help us grow and get bigger, and definitely if you have an Owning Her Health story in your own storyline, reach out to me, info@bellyguru.com. Let's have a talk about it. You never know, you might be my own next Owning Her Health feature.
Welcome to this episode of Owning Her Health with your host, Dr. Lisa Holland. Join Lisa as she starts the conversation on what it really takes to become a healthy, wealthy, and whole CEO of your life. Listen in to real talk by real lady leaders in all walks of life as they open up on personal health stories, wealth, career, and feminine abundant living. Learn how to grow by owning your body, expanding your mind, and aligning your soul with the purpose only you can pursue in this world. Happiness begins with owning her health right now.
We're off. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the relaunch. These are some of the first episodes back for Owning Her Health, and I'm so excited. As I said in the intro, Brooke is a chiropractor down in Florida, and she has a wonderful take on some of the things we've talked about in the past here on this show, in terms of seeing this evolution of women's health into being obviously a lot more holistic, not only being noted as us not being necessarily little women, just like kids are like little adults, but now evolving it to understand the complexity is actually what makes us awesome. And so many research articles and everything before, I think it was like even the 90s, literally we hadn't been included in much research because of our hormones, because of these variables that they couldn't necessarily control, so that we just kind of like were ignored in it. So Brooke's going to talk today. We're going to dive into kind of the thyroid, through her own story. She's flipped her pain into her passion and her work, and her practice down in Florida, Thrive Chiropractic, is moving into sort of bringing this different picture. So Brooke Silberhorn, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you give us a nice synopsis of kind of like who you are in the picture right now, outside of, I know you're a mom, and you have this practice and things like that. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing now.
Thank you so much for inviting me to come on here and share my story. Like you said, I am a chiropractor. I've been practicing since early 2007. And my own personal health journey really has forged my path as a chiropractor. And so most people, when they hear chiropractic, they think back pain, neck pain, headaches, and that's what a lot of chiropractic has been relegated to. But the reality is we work with the nervous system, and the nervous system controls the function of everything in the body. And so my path has gone in the direction of helping families optimize their health so that they can thrive, and really honing in on working with couples who are in that preconception phase of life. Either they're just wanting to start planning their family, or they're struggling with infertility and are not getting the answers that they desire. And so for me, I'm so excited by that, because really the impact that we can have by helping women, and of course their husbands, because that's a piece too, right. But to help them to optimize their health before they even conceive a child, not only is that having an impact on them, but it's having an impact on the genetic expression of their children, which just lights me up and drives me.
Yeah, and that's so, that's just like this, we're getting into like epigenetics and that coming in. And for those of you who are listening out there and aren't necessarily in the healthcare world, although I know a lot of you are, you may also not necessarily even be in that area of like a functional medicine approach, a lifestyle approach, and where we've gone in the past decade in terms of, it's not just your genetic code, it's the environment and whether or not something is needing to be expressed, because we are constantly, and I don't know if you agree with this, Brooke, but I feel like, in healthcare, it's like they ignore we're still evolving. It's like the adaptations, for some reason, they are not really attributing, like, why isn't mainstream medicine looking at nutrition like the be all end all, in terms of, like, we literally had a tagline, at least me growing up, you are what you eat. It's like the thing's disappeared. It's like, right. It's been covered up maybe by, corporate greed or whatever, but like, we can't let them know they are what they eat, yeah. But you're talking about this. So when I am the mother, there's this whole area that's realizing, we really do carry on, and especially from the maternal gene lines, so much of our health, and that our health is really started inside our mother's womb and her health. So when we look at a country like America, where we're both in, where they are horrible, where we have horrible stats on maternal health and well-being, and we know that comes into just the whole thing of everything, health inequality, value of human capital. What you're saying is like so important. We need to be looking at, young kids, obviously, and then there's so many young girls in dysfunction already. I know from working in women's health and having a daughter who's now 21 and watching her, peers at like 16, 17, literally being placed on the birth control pill, but having major dysfunction. It wasn't just because they were saying, oh yeah, I have a bad cramp and because I want to have sex. And there's Planned Parenthood for that now in this generation. They're literally going with their parents, their mothers, to the gynecologist. The mothers aren't really knowing not to listen to just what the doctor says. And so I'm sure people end up in your practice sort of fatigued from all of this. Is that
yes, definitely. It's one of those things where it's like, especially for couples who are struggling with infertility, or women with extreme PCOS, and they just don't have answers. It's literally to the point where they've tried multiple rounds of IUI, sometimes multiple rounds of IVF, and are told, I'm sorry, we don't know why you can't get pregnant, and there's nothing that we can do. And then they come into my office. I'm part of a network of chiropractors across the US who use this protocol, come into our offices and start working on themselves, on their nutrition, making sure that their nervous system is connected, making sure that they're moving well and well hydrated and getting the essential nutrients that their body needs that they're not getting from their food, and their mindset. I mean, when we think about that, that epigenetic expression, the way that we think has an impact on the way that our kids think, even before they're born. So all of that combined, it's like we work on those things. And guess what? When your body is functioning optimally, getting pregnant, doing whatever, I mean, it doesn't have to just be infertility, doing whatever, it just works easier.
Right. I mean, like, because if you think about it, and I think this is the you know, in education, like our health classes or our science classes, you know, we're so into, you know, we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about, you know, mobilizations, and my realm of pain science is finally coming around, you know, but even working in dysfunction, when somebody's like lost, you know, their identity sort of like what they're doing, that is a major impact. That's stress. You know, thank God now we have trauma conversations and the impact of all of that. Oh, you're saying like IVF. What exactly is IVF? You know, IUI. Like, what is it that they've been going through, and what those interventions are doing, and why they need to balance off. Like, what is network chiropractic? What is working on their nervous system have to do with all those other things they were doing?
Right. So backtrack, IUI is intrauterine insemination. It's another term for artificial insemination, where they take dad's sperm and then just inject it into the a woman's vagina in hopes that an insemination will happen. And then IVF is in vitro fertilization, where they take the egg and the sperm in a petri dish and again hope that conception will happen there. The problem with IVF is that it's basically in a there's no oxygen, which means that methylation process isn't allowed to begin, which then has implications on the health of that unborn child from the very beginning.
So like it's an artificial environment. I mean, it's the same thing with like, let's make meat in a petri dish. I get it, but like there's probably something that's not normal in that process, or you know, artificial in some way. And like, how much are we going to decide we're the God factor, and how much we're going to decide like it's sort of the universe per se. So you guys so when you go into treatment, but maybe there's a message. Like I would tell women so many times, they'd come in and they'd be like, oh, you know, I'm desperate. And they'd be like, I don't have, you know, I'd explain what they have to do. Like, you know, the sleep and getting on, I don't have time for this. Like I, you know, like it took them so long to get into the appointment. And all of a sudden I'm like, do you think maybe your body's subconsciously saying, I don't have time for this kid. Like, I don't have time to, you know, I don't have energy maybe for, you know, because we're so in this world, like, well, you know, I'll have the kid and then I get the nanny, or I get them over to daycare. Like we're compartmentalizing it, but like, we got to make this kid. Like there's a lot of energy involved in that. And maybe our inner wisdom, you know, sometimes it's not, can I get pregnant by all of these means, but like, should I get pregnant?
Exactly. And that's part of a lot of the empowerment work that we do, like working through some of those things. That, are you making room for a baby? Are you, where are you at in your headspace? Where are you at in your relationship with yourself, with your spouse? But going back to something that you said, that's just in our society, we just want to get rid of a symptom. We want to pop a pill. We want to cut it out. We want to get rid of a symptom instead of leaning in and asking, why is that symptom there? Our bodies are created in amazing ways. And for me, it's like, so in 2014, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And I'm still on my healing journey in my approach. And for me, it was like, okay, so what is going on in my life that I'm holding back? I'm not speaking my truth. I'm not using my voice. And even actually just yesterday, the chiropractic technique that I use, there was a discussion among practitioners about cancer being in what we call stage 4 of the healing process, which is basically coming to a place of tension in your life where you say, enough of this. I take my power back. And that every person who has cancer is just pushing you. It's not a bad thing. It's your body trying to wake you up to say something is not right.
Yes. So like if we could look back 10 years from like if you could talk to the Brooke of 10 years ago, knowing your journey. So you were diagnosed with cancer. I assume you went through some treatments. Was it traditional treatments? And then like, what would you tell her then, as you're looking back and everything?
So to answer the question of, I did not go with traditional treatment. The traditional treatment is to remove the thyroid and then use radioactive iodine to make sure that you kill the rest of it if they didn't get all of the thyroid. I chose to do more natural methods, a lot of juicing, liver detox, supplementation, mindset work. But to answer the question, what would I tell myself 10 years ago? Probably the greatest lesson that I've learned through all of this is that nothing is missing. Every experience, every moment, everything that you go through in your life is pointing you to love yourself.
Amen.
And to be authentically you. And I just have to say that this all stems from my mentor, Dr. Alok Trivedi. So I have to give credit where credit is due. He is the one who is teaching me that nothing in life is good or bad.
Right.
It's just showing us to love ourselves. And right. We perceive it to be one way or another. But so anyway, that would be what I would
right,
tell myself.
Because it was really gutsy, especially 10 years ago. But overall, the medical community, we're just getting to where they would even, it's not even accepted. Like you talk to a radiologist or you talk to a, oncologist, hepatic oncologist, or you talk to, a mainstream surgeon, and they're going to tell you all their things are the best thing for cancer. So we're not even at a point where they're even considering all this nutritional stuff. So where is that girl? Like, where'd she come from? Where she was just like, I am doing this like 10 years ago.
So I was diagnosed. I had already been in practice as a chiropractor. And I actually have a really good friend who went through a very similar journey about 4 years prior to me. She's also a chiropractor. So seeing her journey definitely empowered me. And at the same time, when I was diagnosed, I had to go through this kind of crisis of belief to
Yep.
step back and say, okay, you tell your patients your body is designed to heal. It is created to self-heal, self-correct, self-regulate. As long as the nervous system and the body are connected and everything's functioning optimally, that's what its purpose is. And so I had to kind of step back and say, is that what I truly believe? Or do I believe that the solution is that my body is wrong and I need to cut it out? And for me, it was like, of course, I believe that the body is designed to heal. That's what I believe. That's why I am a chiropractor. That's why I do what I do. And so to go down that route of saying my body is wrong was incongruent with what I believe.
It might have made the treatment not work. Like, so many people need to believe, and we're not saying go one way versus the other, but we're saying like go within. And I love how you said that, like a crisis of belief, you know. And like I would even say, like, this was you kind of getting to really that yoga of belief, you know, that union. You have to be in union with whatever you're doing, work, relationship, like, not off the bat, you have to go through that crisis. So I love that you shared that with us, because especially as a health practitioner, you know, maybe we're like worried about not looking like it was perfect and we're 100%, like, it makes you even a better health practitioner because you know where your clients are at. And sometimes they're going to choose, you know, we're not saying it's wrong to choose the other thing, but you need to be congruent or else nothing really works.
Yes.
Right.
And one of the things that I think the words that we choose are very important. So if you choose one method over another, and that's where you are at and that's what you believe, more power to you. And at the same time, using the words like fighting cancer or fighting whatever, for me personally, it doesn't resonate because it feels like you're fighting yourself. And and that leads you down a path of where it doesn't work, like you said.
Right. And it's almost like there's an energetic thing. Like, I truly believe we sort of get these physical, you know, again, the body keeps the score kind of idea, where you will be spoken to where you may listen. And so, like, being there at the throat and the seat of metabolism, I've seen it time and time again working with women who are like, you know, like they're overstressed and this and that. And we can say, oh yeah, there's the adrenal and the thyroid are connected. But if you think about it, it's all energy, and what their real illness is most likely, I mean, I'd say, I'm going to say 100% of the people who end up with me, because I'm in a similar thing, like they've gone different things and stuff like that, and stuff's not working. So it wasn't a matter of just some fluke, you know, biochemistry thing going on, or like some, like, you know, genetic thing from their mother or something that they then, you know, oh, I'm MTHR, which is, you know, a certain like a genetic expression that may make it a little harder for your liver to, you know, do things, and you might want to boost it. They're not adapting to that. It's not that. It's deep in them. And I'd say 100% of the time when we get to it, yes, it's that they don't use their energy properly. You see, the thyroid is usually some other thing where they never spoke their truth. They're trying to be the good girl. Like, there's such a pattern where it tells us that it's like so sad. What do you do for somebody now? Like, what's your process that's unique with you, bringing this all together now? Like, what can I expect if I come into you with some of these issues that's maybe a little bit different? Obviously your story, but what are you developing there? What type of like environment are you working on?
So from the chiropractic side of things, obviously I analyze the nervous system. And use technology that actually assesses the function of the nervous system versus we're just looking at your posture, or we're just looking at your x-rays. We want to see how your nervous system is functioning. I do also, I just recently started doing bioenergetic hair and saliva analysis in my office. So looking at how your body is functioning from that energetic standpoint. and seeing, where there's imbalances, where there are sensitivities, where there is dysfunction overall in the body, and then what herbs, supplements, homeopathic remedies can help to bring balance, not necessarily, oh, you're deficient in this vitamin or this mineral, and so we're going to supplement with that. It's what resonates best with your body in this moment in time. And so we're constantly doing a reassessment of that, to see, well, maybe we need to change this herb out for this one. Just really, to be totally honest, a lot of the protocol that I use is seemingly very easy, but at the same time it's hard because we hear all of these different messages, and sometimes what some women need is a guide to say, okay, you are the hero of your story, and I'm here to support you and make sure that you have the tools that you need, and make sure that you are headed in the right direction for you. So, we talk about nutrition, we talk about hydration and movement, and obviously, again, making sure that their nervous system is functioning optimally. And so the adjustment, the technique that I use is very low force and a little more energetic in nature. So it's tapping into the body's innate ability to self-heal, self-correct, self-regulate. So I'm not forcing my will upon them. I'm watching and wondering, and using my assessment to see where the body is ready for an outside input, to wake up the nervous system. And so that's really where I'm at this point, is to help women to get their power back. To really step into who they are designed to be, and to lean into that versus feeling like they have to hold back, or that they don't know and they need to rely on someone else to tell them what to do.
Right. And I love that, because now, I've moved from sort of kind of being the clinician to being this connector and this consultant. And that's what's so beautiful, because I know you, but it is like where it's like, we're not competing against each other. Like, you have a certain way for a certain person that it's my best interest sometimes. How can I be this person that kind of really understands where all of these come from their different energetic components? But it's a very different business world. It's a very different corporate world to be thinking of, like chiropractors and MDs and physicians assistants and physical therapists and then Reiki healers and massage therapists, all who work with women who are working with infertility, actually appreciating not everybody's their person, right?
Yes.
with that, because it just makes it easier on everybody. You don't burn out, I don't burn out, they don't burn out, and they actually do the work. So what is there, if somebody's hearing this and are like, oh gosh, number one, maybe they're in, Florida and they're around your area, where exactly can we find you? How can I learn more information? If this is resonating either as another practitioner that's like, oh my God, I didn't even understand this is available for me as a chiropractor, or even, somebody obviously in need of some fertility help, because I think, what are we down to, 1 in 6 couples now, or are we still around I know it used to be 1 in 8 when I was doing some talks on it, but
I think last I looked it was 1 in 7, but
okay. Where can somebody who hears this right now direct either a family member, a friend, or themselves?
So the best place probably would just be to go to my website, which is thrivewithchiro.com. And I have free resources there. You can schedule a Zoom consult with me, and we do that for complimentary, where we just dig in and figure out, are we the right fit for each other, and how can I help you, if I can help you, and just lots of information there. It's constantly evolving as far as
yeah, we are. And I want everybody who hears this to understand that, like, we're all evolving too. Like, you want a practitioner. Like, you do not want the practitioner who's like, I graduated from Harvard in 1985 at the top of my class, and that's the only thing I've done since. And I'm writing all this research based on what I believed in 1985. Like, you definitely want somebody evolving too, and what they're doing. And as you read stuff, even to just like ask questions and stuff like that, right? Like, so many of us now are online where we're wanting to answer questions. We have like membership communities. We have like these other group experiences. It's not just, I have to have a problem to talk to us. And I want to make that clear with anybody listening to this. You know, reach out to Brooke if you just even have questions, because you may be working in a very traditional system that you need to sort of come empowered to, and she can maybe direct you to, you know, we could save you some time. You don't have to be like scrolling Dr. Google, not even knowing what you're reading. Go to educated people. That would be, you know, definitely. And I'm trying to do that through Owning Her Health and definitely bringing you guys the people, but you've got to take the first step and reach out to people. You don't have to necessarily diagnose yourself first. That's what I'm saying. Ask around to the professionals, because that's where you get into trouble, right? Like when you're diagnosing yourself. So Brooke, if I was to say, you know, to kind of finish up, like if you're successful with your mission and your message and you're getting out there and you're seeing, you know, things adapt in the world, 10 years from now, Brooke, telling you, what would you love for her to tell you that you just have seen evolve out of your work?
Probably the most powerful message that is actually something that my dad has told me since I was in high school is stay the course. The world that we live in is not easy. And this work is not always easy, because sometimes it feels like you're bucking the system and
because you are
fighting an uphill battle. And I still, you know, like you talked about finding that ideal person. I still, it's like getting that right person in my office. And yet I'm like, well, I can serve this person, but maybe they're not the right person. And that's my personal evolution as a practitioner of saying, maybe I need to move into that. Like, these are the people I serve, and I could serve you, but I'm not, you know, there's someone better for you somewhere else.
Like there's choice on both sides. So thank you thank you for being that practitioner. Thank you for being here. I will have in the show notes, you know, any links. Maybe you can forward me kind of your mentor and that mentality for any of the clinicians here as well. Any of your programs coming up or anything, I keep that updated. So whenever you're listening to this, you can get in touch with Brooke. Thank you so much for being here, and everyone else, and Owning Her Health. It's great to be back. I'm excited. I'd love for you, you know, this is an engaged show. Send me information via info at drlisahollandpt.com or info@bellyguru.com if there's a subject matter or something that you think is on the horizon, because I know people all over the world involved in all of these things. Because I've been the crazy lady and the integrative lady for so many years, I actually now have all these people who are doing these things so wonderfully, and I could try to find somebody for you or bring them onto the show. So thank you so much, Brooke. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening into this episode of Owning Her Health with Dr. Lisa Holland. To learn more about her personal and professional development service, visit her online at drlisahollandpt.com.